Today we're meeting little people who are doing big things. Here's a 10-year-old that made a big splash when he broke a world record. Look at this. 9-year-old Johnny Wilson had a dream.
See that island over there? That's Alcatraz, and I'm gonna swim from there all the way to shore there. It's 1.4 miles, and I'm a little nervous.
If Johnny can complete the swim, it will be a new world record for the youngest person ever to make the swim across the treacherous waters of the San Francisco Bay. 2 years ago, Johnny's coach noticed his natural talent for swimming.
Some people have a certain feel for the water, and some people don't. Johnny's got that little extra feel.
To prepare for his record-breaking swim, Johnny endurance trained for 2 years, followed by 3 months of conditioning to get used to the freezing temperatures in the bay. But cold, choppy water is not the only challenge facing him. The San Francisco Bay is shark-infested! So Johnny gave himself some extra inspiration.
I was running for treasurer for my school, and I thought we could do fundraisers for the Katrina victims. And since I didn't get elected, I thought, why waste the idea?
He decided to raise money for every quarter mile of the swim and donate it to the survivors of Hurricane Katrina.
I'm really excited about the Alcatraz swim because I'd be raising money and setting a record at the same time.
The big day has finally arrived. It's barely dawn, and Johnny is ready.
When I got in the water, I was pretty scared. I'd never really been out that far in the ocean.
2 adult swimmers are always nearby, and Johnny's dad is right behind in a boat.
Just keep swimming, boy. Keep going, Johnny.
It's a half mile into the swim, and it looks like Johnny might not make it.
I got tired a little in the middle.
About halfway.
I'm halfway?
Yeah, you're doing great, Johnny.
Go, Johnny! Go, Johnny!
Finally, Johnny breaks the world record, the youngest ever to make this swim. Welcome, Johnny Wilson, to the show. Johnny, how much money did you raise for Katrina?
In total, all my friends and I raised $50,800.
That is great. Okay, halfway through, when that point where we saw you sort of treading in the water, were you tired?
Yeah, I was really tired, and all my fingers and feet was completely numb.
Completely numb. Were you scared?
Yeah.
Did you think at that point that you might not finish?
I was thinking that a little.
Yeah, a little. So what kept you going?
Well, I thought, like, I was about almost halfway, and I can't stop now because I'm so far.
Yeah. So I heard you have another swim planned. Is that true?
Yes, I might try swimming from the Golden Gate Bridge to the Bay Bridge.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, and good luck to you. Thank you so much, John. Wonderful.
Can a 9-year-old accomplish something the nation's most hardened criminals never did? We're going to meet the boy who's trying to make history by swimming from Alcatraz to shore today across the San Francisco Bay.
And we wish him luck.
Anyway, now to a story that you could call Escape from Alcatraz. In all the years that prison held the country's most notorious criminals, nobody ever made it out alive. The reason? Well, outside the prison walls, frigid San Francisco Bay provides a natural barrier between the rock and the city. Today, elite athletes are taking up the challenge, braving the bay's cold, shark-infested waters and powerful currents. The 1.4-mile swim is an intense, grueling experience, even for well-trained adults. But about 10 minutes ago, a 9-year-old boy took the plunge, and right now, 4th grader Johnny Wilson is trying to become the youngest person to make it across. That's Johnny in the middle of the 2 other swimmers, a live shot of him working his way across the water. I spoke with Johnny and his coach, Rick Murray, earlier this morning, and I started by asking Johnny how he was feeling.
I'm pretty nervous, too.
You are nervous?
I'm really excited.
But you've been...
Yeah, but I'm really excited.
I bet you are, and you've been training really hard for this swim, haven't you? Can you tell us, Johnny, a little bit about the training you've been going through?
Well, I've been swimming like 1.5 miles in the bay, like 2 times a week, and now I have to just like a week ago, I had to just save up energy, and I couldn't like do 1.5-mile swims anymore. I could only do like 10-minute swims.
Wow.
To save up energy.
Now, Rick, I understand that you are sort of responsible for Johnny trying to set a record as the youngest person to ever do this, because you're part of a swim club, and you noticed that he was a particularly strong swimmer. Is that right?
Go to the side. Yeah, I met Johnny about a year ago and recognized he had a great stroke technique and thought that he could potentially become a great bay swimmer. And I have a lot of friends helping us today from the Dolphin Club in San Francisco, so he'll be well protected out there. He'll do just fine.
Meanwhile, the swim is about 1.4 miles and it takes about an hour. Is that right?
It depends upon the conditions. If it's a good calm day, you can do it in under an hour. If it's windy and choppy, a little bit more. So we just want to get Johnny to the shore safe and sound, and no matter how fast or slow he swims, he'll do a great job.
And you're going to be accompanying him with some other members of the club?
That's correct, yeah.
Tell me how cold is the water? And, you know, I'm sorry, 2 words really frighten me when it comes to this effort, Johnny, and those 2 words are shark infested. How concerned are you about that? And is that something you really have to worry about?
Not really that much anymore.
What do you mean anymore?
Not that. Well, I mean.
He had special friends, had all the sharks go out of the bay just for today.
I was going to say. Well, you're doing something great with the, you've taken pledges, Johnny, for this swim, and it's very, very impressive. They'll go to the Red Cross to help Katrina victims. How much money have you raised so far?
Well, all my friends and I together have raised up to $30,000.
That is so great, and such a great thing for you to do. Well, Rick, good luck today, and Johnny, of course, good luck to you, and let us know how it goes. And congratulations in advance for setting a new record as the youngest swimmer to ever do this.
Great, thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Bye, Johnny. I have a 9-year-old daughter, by the way. Not particularly impressed by that statement.
But there he is, in the middle, hanging in there.
That's right, and he's about 15 minutes into the swim. As we mentioned earlier, it's going to take about an hour. Obviously, we're having some technical problems with that picture right now, but it really is a very impressive effort. I certainly couldn't do that.
Especially not with shark-infested waters.
No, the cold water would be what bothered me.
Well, Johnny Wilson has escaped from the Rock. The 9-year-old, one of the youngest ever to swim the treacherous waters from Alcatraz to San Francisco. You see that movie, Escape from Alcatraz? You know you know that one, right? And that happened back in 1962, the real attempted escape, right? Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence Anglin, some would say, made it. We're going to ask Johnny right now if he thinks they did. Johnny and his coach, Rick Murray, are in San Francisco now. Johnny swam it, by the way, at the tender age of 9 to raise money. Johnny, first of all, great job. Great job. What's like
Thanks.
The water temperature? What, about 58 degrees or so?
Yeah.
Yikes! Of course, you had a wetsuit on. That helped, right?
Yeah.
And this
it's a lot warmer with a wetsuit.
which is pretty crucial. And you swam about 1.5 miles or so. Is that it?
Yeah, 1.4.
Okay. And the whole idea was to raise some money. Tell us how you got this idea.
Well, I was running for treasurer at my school, and I thought that if I got elected, I could do some fundraisers for the Katrina victims, but I didn't get elected, and I thought I could use the idea for the swim from Alcatraz.
Yeah, you don't need to be the treasurer to raise the money. And so Katrina victims were on your mind. You went around, you said, hey, I'm going to swim from Alcatraz to San Francisco. Everybody said, oh, right, Johnny, sure. I assume they got a few people who said that's kind of nuts, right?
Yeah, especially my dad.
Oh, tell me what Dad said about this.
He thought it was crazy.
Yeah?
But then after I was training for a while, he said, okay, but you can only do it if Mr. Murray says he thinks you're ready for it.
Okay, and let's bring in Mr. Murray, Johnny's coach, Rick Murray. When Johnny came to you with this idea, did you say, hey, great idea, or did you have a similar reaction, like, I'm not so sure about this?
No, I met Johnny about a year or so ago and recognized right away he had a great, two great things, a great swimming technique and a stroke, and a lot of inner heart and desire. And I've been swimming in the bay for many, many years with my friends here in San Francisco, and I thought that Johnny could do this. And we talked a lot, it evolved, we talked about it. We did the proper training, combining sprinting and strength training and a lot of endurance training. And we never would have attempted this if anyone thought Johnny couldn't do it. But we planted the seed in his mind, and he grabbed the torch and swam with it, and just did a great job yesterday, and everyone's very proud of him.
Boy, it must be hard swimming with that torch, though, huh? No, give me a sense, though, how treacherous these waters are. There's much made of the temperature. For example, are sharks a concern? And I know you were in the kayak right nearby. Were you watching out for that kind of thing?
Well, you know, everyone talks about the shark-infested waters of San Francisco Bay. There are a lot of recreational swimmers out here that swim year-round. And from what we understand, there's never been a shark attack inside the Golden Gate Bridge. So we weren't too concerned about that. The currents can be very tricky, and you have to be very careful in picking the right day, the proper tide. And we had great conditions yesterday, and we had some great kayakers and pilots that led us into the shore. But it can be tricky. It's 1.4 miles, which is not a short distance, and especially in open water conditions, safety is the main concern, and we were prepared for that yesterday. And this young man came through like a real champ. Yeah,
we're so impressed, Johnny. You got to tell me, you know, what was going through your mind as you're swimming this? Did you think, at any point, did you think I'm not going to make it, or were you determined the whole way?
I just kept on telling myself to keep on going, and I was almost there. But at the beginning, I was pretty scared and nervous.
I bet you were. It's sort of like Finding Nemo. What is it? You know, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. Right? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Once you got the butterflies over with, though, you felt strong in the water?
Yeah.
Now, big question. Would you ever do this again?
What?
Would you do it again?
I don't know.
He's not so sure. I think this is probably not the best day to ask. All right, Johnny Wilson, 9-year-old swimmer. Great job out there. Rick Murray, thanks for
Thank you.
egging him on a little bit and helping him out.
How
and
much
being
money
there
did they raise?
What's that?
How much money did they raise?
Did I forget to
No,
mention
no,
that?
you said 30,000.
30,000
Oh, yeah.
bucks.
Aren't they sorry that he's not the treasurer of that school, Johnny?
Yeah,
Boy,
kids, you blew it. You blew it.
they had the last one.
If I could just say that
Yeah.
Johnny's got a great website called johnnys-alcatrazswim.org, JOHNNYS, alcatrazswim.org. And if Johnny's achievement yesterday resonates with any people out there that want to contribute some money for the folks on the Gulf Coast, it's a great website, and hopefully people will be inspired to go out there and do great things in their own life by what this young man did yesterday. It was a tremendous achievement, and hopefully whatever recognition we're gaining from this can help raise money for folks that can really use the help down there on the Gulf Coast.
Well, we'll check out that website.
I'm going to chip
Great.
in, and I hope you all do. We'll get that website up on the screen in
What
just
a
a little
cute
bit. I'm glad you
kid,
got
huh?
that in there, Rick. I apologize for not getting to that sooner. Congratulations, Johnny and Rick. Great job. Great to meet you guys.
That was great.
Making a splash. That's 9-year-old swimmer Johnny Wilson after a record-setting performance Monday. Johnny became the youngest person ever to swim the frigid, shark-infested waters between Alcatraz Island and Aquatic Park in San Francisco, a distance of nearly 1.5 miles. After almost 2 hours in the water, Johnny was shivering when he made dry land.
Kept on going. It's almost there. I'm almost done.
Johnny's father, also named John, was near tears over his son's accomplishment.
Oh, I love you so much.
Johnny.
He did it. I'm so proud. I'm the happiest dad in the whole world.
Johnny stands just 4'9" and weighs 86 pounds soaking wet. The fourth grader prepared for the swim by training in the icy bay twice a week and by taking showers as cold as he could stand them. At times during Monday's swim, Johnny appeared to be making little headway against the current. But with victory finally in his grasp, he put on a final spurt and made it to the shore and into his dad's arms. Johnny's buddies were also waiting at the finish line. So was a much-needed cup of hot chocolate.
Good job, Johnny.
Johnny also raised $30,000 for victims of Hurricane Katrina.
A 9-year-old California boy raised $30,000 for Gulf Coast hurricane victims today. Listen to this while swimming into the record books. Johnny Wilson is the youngest ever to swim the nearly 1.5 miles from Alcatraz Island to San Francisco. All of it in bone-chilling 53 degrees.
Johnny Wilson of Hillsborough, California, made it into the record books today for a daring swim in San Francisco Bay, a swim that raised money for Hurricane Katrina relief. Wilson swam the 1.5-mile stretch between Alcatraz and San Francisco's aquatic park. He made the swim just before sunrise. Now, many have completed this swim in those shark-infested waters before, but Johnny Wilson is now the youngest person to have accomplished the feat. Johnny is 9 years old. He's in the 4th grade. Wilson's swim raised $30,000 for Red Cross Hurricane Katrina relief efforts.
And in California, swimming for Katrina victims. This is just an incredible story. A 9-year-old boy braving the cold, choppy, shark-infested waters of San Francisco Bay, all to raise money for victims of Hurricane Katrina. Johnny Wilson spent his Columbus Day holiday making the 1.4-mile swim from Alcatraz Island through San Francisco Bay on over to Aquatic Park. He helped raise $30,000 in donations. In the process, he also became the youngest person ever to make the notorious swim, which is pretty impressive. I could never do it, that's for sure.
Yeah, how is it possible that a 9-year-old boy is in better shape than either of us? It's kind of sad.
It's sad, and yet
no, he shouldn't be able to, like, probably bench press more than I could.
Okay, I'm going to leave that one alone.
Just glad to be able to get out of bed in the morning at my age. Thank you.
Strange story I want to bring to you this morning from Hillsborough in California. There are likely to be some sharks and cold water in the San Francisco Bay today. A 9-year-old boy right now is trying to do something that, well, most of us just wouldn't even want to think about. Boy is named Johnny Wilson, and he is from Hillsborough, and he is going to attempt to swim from Alcatraz to Aquatic Park. Now, that distance is 1.4 miles. He started at about 7:10 in the morning this morning, and if he's successful, he'll be raising about $30,000 for the Red Cross Katrina Hurricane Victims Fund, but an unusual way to do it, to say the very least. We'll be keeping an eye on him through the day here at Fox.
A 4th grader in California has become the youngest person ever to swim from Alcatraz to the San Francisco shoreline. Why, you may be asking? Would 9-year-old Johnny Wilson brave the cold, the shark-infested waters to raise $30,000, after all, for Hurricane Katrina victims? The 1.4-mile trek took him less than 2 hours. Wilson said the toughest part of the swim was the beginning, because it was cold and windy.
Live from the Fox Television Center in Los Angeles, this is the Fox 11 10 o'clock news.
For years, prisoners gazed at the waters beyond Alcatraz and dreamed of freedom. But for 9-year-old Johnny Wilson, it meant a world record. The boy braved the choppy waters of San Francisco Bay today and became the youngest person ever to swim that 1.4 miles to shore. The 86-pound 4th grader made the swim in 1 hour and 8 minutes. He said the beginning was the hardest part because that water and the current, 53 degrees, going the wrong way.
I kept on going. I'm almost there. I'm almost there.
Not only did Johnny set a world record, but he also raised $30,000 for the victims of Hurricane Katrina.
You're watching the 2005 Emmy Award winner for Best Newscast, the WB11 News at 10.
Just yesterday, 9-year-old Johnny Wilson was a regular kid.
Tonight, he's a world record holder, the youngest person to swim from Alcatraz to the shores of San Francisco. That is tough. He did it this morning. He braved the cold water, made it in a little more than an hour. And it wasn't just for the challenge. Johnny also did it to raise money for Hurricane Katrina relief. When his red swim cap came into view, the crowds on the beach just went wild. They cheered, they greeted him with hugs. He made this trip with 2 adults and his dad rowing alongside him. It's quite an accomplishment.
Okay, that's it for this edition of the WB11 News at 10. Also quite an accomplishment. I'm Jim White.
You're watching NBC4, working for you. Live from the area's leading news station, this is News 4 at 4.
Most people would stay as far away from shark-infested waters as possible.
But not this 9-year-old we're going to show you a bit later. We'll find out why coming up on News 4 at 4.
It was a record-breaking swim, and he's only 9 years old. This morning, Johnny Wilson became the youngest person to swim from Alcatraz to the San Francisco shore. And if that isn't impressive enough, the little guy also did it to help raise money for hurricane victims. Stephanie Stanton has this remarkable story.
As his classmates and family cheered him on, 9-year-old Johnny Wilson became the youngest person ever to swim the icy waters between Alcatraz Island and the San Francisco shoreline.
Can you believe it? You did it! Oh, I love you so much.
A congratulatory hug from Dad. It took the fourth grader just over 1 hour to make the 1.4-mile swim in 62-degree water.
The beginning was the hardest because I was all cold and everything because I just got in.
2 experienced coaches swam alongside Johnny, but it wasn't without danger as he faced the risk of hypothermia and the possibility of a shark attack. Still, his coach wasn't worried. He knew there was something very special about this small swimmer.
I met Johnny about a year ago and recognized he had a great stroke technique and thought that he could potentially become a great bay swimmer.
The 9-year-old trained twice a week for months. He made the swim 2 weeks before his 10th birthday, and just in time to beat the old record set 2 weeks ago by a 10-year-old girl. But it wasn't easy.
I kept on going, I'm almost there, I'm almost there.
Johnny had a greater goal. He wanted to conquer the bay to raise money for hurricane victims in the Gulf.
I have raised $30,000.
There's your coach.
A proud moment for a little boy who made a big difference in the lives of others. Stephanie Stanton, News 4.
A child's record-breaking swim in shark-infested waters.
Live from Boston, this is 7 News at 5:30 on the news station.
A little boy dares to take a dangerous dive in California, and now he holds a remarkable record.
Yeah, this 9-year-old became the youngest person to swim from Alcatraz to San Francisco. In shark-infested waters, Johnny Wilson braved the cold to make the 1.1-mile swim. The fourth grader beat the age record set 2 weeks ago by a 10-year-old girl. The amazing swim took about an hour. Wilson prepared for the swim and cold water by training in the San Francisco Bay. He says dealing with the frigid water was the roughest part.
Well, the beginning was the hardest because I was all cold and everything because I just got in.
Johnny had a greater goal than just beating the record. His swim raised $30,000 for victims of Hurricane Katrina. And it's funny, Frances and I were just talking. She's going to do the same thing here next week.
No thanks. I don't think so. When I was in fourth grade, I think the only thing I was concerned about was like playing Miss Pac-Man and like learning the Valley Girl language or whatever.
The oldie but goodie.
From Fox 4, the news station, broadcasting live for all North Texas. Fox 4 News at 5 starts now.
A fourth grader managed to set a swimming record and raise thousands of dollars for hurricane victims at the same time. 9-year-old Johnny Wilson in the black wetsuit became the youngest person to swim from Alcatraz Island to San Francisco's aquatic park. This swim is 1.4 miles. The water temperature is 62 degrees. Johnny's 2-hour trip beat the previous record set by an 11-year-old and raised nearly $30,000 for the Red Cross Hurricane Katrina Victims Fund. And those waters are shark infested.
Way to go, Johnny.
Woo.
Now, next time you're stuck for a fundraising idea, think of a 9-year-old American who's also a bit of a super swimmer.
Johnny Wilson has managed to swim across freezing, shark-infested waters from the famous island prison of Alcatraz to mainland America. Check this out. Alcatraz used to be one of the most famous prisons in the world. It was built on a tiny barren island off the coast of San Francisco in West America. It was where some of the world's most dangerous criminals were sent, because between the island and land were 1.5 miles of freezing cold, rough, shark-infested waters. But that's not going to stop 9-year-old Johnny. He decided to try a sponsored swim with a difference to raise money for the victims of Hurricane Katrina. He made it across the bay in just under 2 hours, raising an impressive £17,000. And he got a warm welcome from his mates after a tough journey.
The beginning was the hardest because I was all cold and everything because I just got in.
In its 30 years as a prison, no one officially successfully made their escape from Alcatraz. Perhaps they should have had swimming lessons from Johnny.
A 9-year-old boy has raised $30,000 for Hurricane Katrina victims. As Terry Okita tells us, he did it all by swimming in the icy waters between Alcatraz and San Francisco.
Going stroke for stroke with two adult swimmers, fourth grader Johnny Wilson made a splash and history as the youngest person to ever swim San Francisco Bay from the legendary Alcatraz prison island. In just under 2 hours, 9-year-old Johnny made it to shore, telling himself, "I'm almost there, I'm almost there." His parents, classmates, teachers, and friends cheered him to victory. The 4'9", 86-pounder says the beginning was hardest because the water was so cold, and it was tougher than his twice-weekly training in the bay.
It was a lot harder because it was a lot wavier because it wasn't like protected by a cove or something.
During the swim, Johnny's coach watched from a nearby boat. He says Johnny has an inner drive not often seen.
It had to really come from him, and all the way along it did. In all of our training sessions, he always wanted to go further and faster.
I was so excited for him, so proud.
The 1.4-mile swim wasn't just for glory. It was Johnny's idea to raise money for charity, $30,000 in all.
There's a Red Cross for the Katrina Victims Fund.
History books say inmates at the island prison frequently drowned while trying to flee, but this escape from Alcatraz is one for the record books. Terry Okita, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Well, a 9-year-old swimmer has managed a feat that most of his adult counterparts would not even dare. He swam from California's infamous Alcatraz Island to San Francisco.
It's definitely one for the record books and for charity. Amy Hollyfield reports.
With the water at a chilly 62 degrees, it seems like it would be much more fun to be up here on the shore with all of your friends and some donuts on this pretty October morning. But 9-year-old Johnny Wilson would rather be out here, swimming from Alcatraz, earning him the respect of his friends and their parents up here. Go, Johnny! Johnny set out at 7 this morning to set a world record as the youngest person to swim from Alcatraz to the shores of San Francisco. His nervous mother waited on the shore for him, knowing he was carefully being guarded from up above.
We lost my mom in June, and he was so close to my mom, and I know she's watching over us today, so I actually feel pretty comfortable today.
Not only is a 9-year-old trying to set a world record, he's doing it to raise money for Hurricane Katrina relief. It was simply inspiring.
He's doing all this great stuff, and I'm at home just sitting watching.
His friends watched from the shore, and when his red swim cap came into view, they couldn't have been prouder. Surrounded by 2 adult swimmers and a circle of safety boats, Johnny Wilson made the swim in 1 hour and 8 minutes. A mob of loved ones and reporters nearly crushed the 4th grader from Hillsborough, who breathlessly told them the beginning was the toughest part because it was so cold.
I kept on going, I'm almost there, I'm almost there.
His coach said at one point Johnny's stroke did start to fade in the rough waters.
Any endurance athlete, you'll hit the wall and say, can I really do this? Psychologically, that thought will enter your mind. And I saw that thought entering his mind, and all of a sudden his stroke, but then he just picked it up.
The swim was especially rough for Johnny's dad, who watched every stroke from one of the boats.
It was just really tough to watch him. He was struggling in the beginning because it was so cold, he was so nervous, and I just felt for him.
Maybe the Olympics are in the future of this 9-year-old, maybe another world record, but for now, his goals are pretty simple.
Right now, I'm going to go get some breakfast with my friends.
He did it, and I'm so proud. I'm the happiest dad in the whole world.
What a little trooper. Good to see.
It's not normally all that big a deal when a local 9-year-old goes for a morning swim, but when that youngster is swimming the 1.4 miles from Alcatraz to San Francisco's aquatic park, it is a big deal, especially when it raises money to help hurricane victims. ABC 7's Amy Hollyfield is live at Aquatic Park with our own story. And Amy, he was also trying to set a record.
He did. He wanted to set a world record this morning. He's been practicing for this, but he admitted this water was much choppier than he expected. But his coach told us that Johnny Wilson exceeded his expectations. With the water at a chilly 62 degrees, it seems like it would be much more fun to be up here on the shore with all of your friends and some donuts on this pretty October morning.
But 9-year-old Johnny Wilson would rather be out here, swimming from Alcatraz, earning him the respect of his friends and their parents up here.
Go, Johnny!
Johnny set out at 7 this morning to set a world record as the youngest person to swim from Alcatraz to the shores of San Francisco. His nervous mother waited on the shore for him, knowing he was carefully being guarded from up above.
We lost my mom in June, and he was so close to my mom, and I know she's watching over us today. So I actually feel pretty comfortable today.
Not only is a 9-year-old trying to set a world record, he's doing it to raise money for Hurricane Katrina relief. It was simply inspiring.
He's doing all of this great stuff, and I'm at home just sitting watching.
But his friends watched from the shore, and when his red swim cap came into view, they couldn't have been prouder. Surrounded by 2 adult swimmers and a circle of safety boats, Johnny Wilson made the swim in 1 hour and 8 minutes. A mob of loved ones and reporters nearly crushed the 4th grader from Hillsborough, who breathlessly told them the beginning was the toughest part because it was so cold.
I kept on going, I'm almost there, I'm almost there.
His coach said at one point Johnny's stroke did start to fade in the rough waters.
Any endurance athlete, you'll hit the wall and say, can I really do this? Psychologically, that thought will enter your mind. And I saw that thought entering his mind, and all of a sudden his stroke, but then he just picked it up.
The swim was especially rough for Johnny's dad, who watched every stroke from one of the boats.
It was just really tough to watch him. He was struggling in the beginning because it was so cold, he was so nervous, and I just felt for him.
Maybe the Olympics are in the future of this 9-year-old, maybe another world record, but for now, his goals are pretty simple.
Right now, I'm going to go get some breakfast with my friends.
He did it, and I'm so proud. I'm the happiest dad in the whole world.
And Johnny just finished a big stack of pancakes to polish off this morning. On top of all of this child has raised $30,000 for Hurricane Katrina relief. Remarkable kid. Reporting live from San Francisco, Amy Hollyfield, ABC 7 News.
It is remarkable, but you got to remember to have the pancakes after, not before a long swim like that.
Yeah. Great job.
A Bay Area youngster swam into the record books this morning. It was all to help victims of Hurricane Katrina. Anna Duckworth joins us now on his treacherous but successful swim across San Francisco Bay. Hi, Anna.
Hi, John. And that youngster was 9-year-old Johnny Wilson. He lives on the peninsula, but he was out here in the bay this morning. He braved the chilly, choppy waters and set a remarkable record. But what's even more remarkable is that he did it to help those in need. With family, friends, and classmates cheering from Aquatic Park, 9-year-old Johnny Wilson of Hillsborough became the youngest person ever to finish the 1.4-mile swim from Alcatraz. He was cold and tired, but all smiles as his parents rushed to hug him.
He did it! He did it!
Can you believe it?
He did it!
He did it! Oh, wow. Oh, I love you so much.
Johnny's been swimming since he was 3 and training in the bay for the past year, but it was just recently that the 4th grader decided to swim from Alcatraz, and it wasn't to break a record.
When Katrina came, Johnny said to me, he said, you know, it might be kind of nice if my classmates and I could raise some money for Katrina.
All my friends together and I have raised $30,000.
What are you going to do with the money?
Give it to Red Cross for the Katrina Victims Fund.
Johnny says the water was a lot rougher than he's used to.
The beginning was the hardest because I was all cold and everything because I just got in.
But the longer he swam in the 62-degree water, the more he warmed up, finishing what most adults can't do in 1 hour and 8 minutes.
If I did it, I would be afraid of sharks, but you